Since people complain about me doing a video in an enclosed space that's dark, that has less distractions, we'll do this outside and see what happens like in the old days. So here we go. 2013 Fleet-Based Radiation Dose Assessment, Operation Tomodachi, not Tomogachi. CVN 67, page 91. It's actually a different page number in the PDF. B13, individual, USS Ronald Reagan. Retrospective analysis based on actual ship locations, observed weather data to estimate doses to fleet-based personnel. All USS Ronald Reagan data from pancake, GM detector probe and rate meter. And number 1, machinery rooms, permanently installed air particulate detector, number 4. And a 1 square meter area swipe survey, large area swipes taken in various locations to make a sample cloth to do the testing. That way they don't have to sit around with a meter. All calculations that were done for the assessment assumed the following worst case scenario. Any or all individuals must have been topside. No dose mitigation actions were applied, even though they were, but they assumed they weren't, to estimate damage or possible damage as of 2013. This also included some ships that may not have been exposed to any of the clouds of any kind. Just assume they always were, or immersed in any contaminant air, or passing cloud, or deposited material from ground shine, or on the water itself. Just assume worst case scenario for all of them, and include ones that weren't exposed at all, and just go ahead and say they were, and assume worst case scenario, because that's what you do when you assess damage. You see what the worst case scenario is, and this is an assessment to figure out likelihood of getting any form of medical problem, including radiation poisoning and sickness, which are different from cancer. And if you don't know that is factually real, you're not allowed to use this data because it assumes this. All of these measurement systems assume exposure versus cancer effect are not the same thing. But let's go on with this. 2011, March 13th, while 130 miles away on the flight deck, after exposure was started to be detected from a cloud of material that was able to be detected, these are the max measurements I got from their own measurements. This is what they had. 2 mrem per hour exposure rate detected on the flight deck. Also on the flight deck, 0.6 millirem per hour direct gamma shine from the cloud. That's gamma radiation radiating down over a span of 2.5 hours, and that's it. It went up and then went right back down because they were in motion effectively, and they just got out of there the next day on the 14th. This information was collected and then they relocated so they wouldn't be in the pathway, potentially. So it's 2.5 hours of detection. And some of the equipment was permanently installed stuff because, well, we'll get to why you would do that on the USS Ronald Reagan. Why would they have radiation detectors on a warship? Well, there's a specific reason, and most of you ignore it and won't acknowledge it if you're a specific type of person. You're just going to scream, and I'm not kidding about this. On one of the YouTube channels, someone is just going around calling everybody disagreeing with fearmongers, calling every one of them Jews. So I'm not explaining this clearly enough. People out there who post those sorts of comments want to make anybody out there who's a contrarian look like a full auto contrarian. So let's go on with this. While they were 130 miles out, they got these ratings. Now, if you collect it together, that's 2.6 millirem per hour. All right? Now, they did decontamination and scrubbed down any surface that might have surface contamination, and then proceeded to continually wash the surface of the this carrier with seawater as well. But all you see is people scrubbing it down with soap and water, which actually does work. It foams it up and gets it off the surface. They don't tell you about the rest of it, and most people are really vague about this. So what is the actual exposure to background radiation in millirems per hour or year or day or whatever? Alright, well, let's do this simply. It's 300 millirem average natural exposure dosage, not from the sky, not from radiation sources that are artificial, in the United States to Americans. And I'm actually selling this as low as possible for our exposure. It's actually 600. But that works out to 0.8 per day, or 0.33 per hour millirem per hour. You know, it's 0.3. So it's not even, it's 1/3 of a tenth. You get the idea. So, the average natural dosage to humans worldwide is around 240 millirem. The 300 millirem is actually the natural dosage in the United States. It's slightly higher because we did a lot of mining, I guess. And it's 60 millirem per year, excuse me, not hour, per year, artificial dose to humans worldwide from all the radioactive materials generated by humans, because you can trace them, and that works out to 0.16 per day. So for the average person worldwide, collective dosage is 0.8 per day. Alright? Alright, now, the USS Ronald Reagan, for 2.5 hours, experienced 60 times that background radiation and 18 times the gamma shine radiation. You know, 18 times what you would normally get from the space, and 60 times background total, according to measurements. What was this, however, compared to what they would normally be expected to sign up for and sign off on? Well, the maximum annual total for radiation workers is 5,000 millirems per year, or 14 millirems per day. And they were exposed to 2.6, or for 2.5 hours, which would be about 40% of their limit, as that's a nuclear-powered supercarrier. They're literally on board a nuclear power plant at sea. And they were still exposed to 40% of the max limit for a day if you take all of it, worst-case scenario measurement, and for the maximum period of time at 2.5 hours, and that includes the scrub downing. That's also including dosimeter checks they did, because did I mention it's a nuclear power plant at sea? They have to wear dosimeters. They have to measure this crap literally daily. They're very much painfully aware of this. Now I want to point out, well, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of workers all dead from it, or something like that. The ship itself had thousands of people aboard, and nobody mentions the other ships. Why would you deliberately go out of your way sandbagging this for all the Fukushima fearmongers? Why do they always bring up the Ronald Reagan? The Ronald Reagan's a nuclear-powered vehicle. Why not pick something that doesn't have people signing up to tolerate a max dosage that's higher? But again, this is 2.5 hours at, let's say, 2.6 millirem. So let's call it 5 millirems for the whole day. Alright? Let's call it that. Okay, compared to background radiation of 0.8 per day, or something like that, or 0.7 something, 0.8 per day, this was excessive, yes. I do agree. But why are they not pointing out any of the other ships? Now, the reason I'm saying that is anybody who looks up what the hell the vehicle is would find out that they would be exposed on a regular basis to something, and also on a regular basis make sure it doesn't happen, because radiation leaks would be something you'd worry about, just like a fuel leak in your car would be something you'd want to check once in a while. Why would someone set all of you fearmongers up with evaluating something based like that? But yeah, at 0.8 per day max rating, you know, total in the United States, or total worldwide if you take everything together, which is not really much different. It really isn't. Having it come out at like 5 instead of 0.8, that's, let's say, 6 or 7 times as bad as it should be, which works out about the right way. Yeah, 18 times gamma and 60 times background radiation peak, depending on how you measure it and what math system you want to use and what limits you want to use. Alright? Alright. Now, I dare anybody out there to say that my numbers are completely wrong, or show me where they're wrong, or quibble about it. Now, the totals are, again, that they were exposed to 40% of the maximum limit because it's a nuclear-powered vehicle, and everybody aboard is a nuclear power, is a worker in a radiation environment. They're radiation workers. and they sign off on taking 5,000 millirem per year, 14 per day, peak, worst case scenario. And again, 18 or 60 times background radiation, yes. 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 Don't blink. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.